Kayli, Charlie, good to see you both. Welcome to Popternative.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You know, I love this film so much. Both your performances are incredible and so powerful. So congratulations. Kayli, that script to screen journey really interests me, right? Because you read this script and you're kind of trying to visualize as much as you can, and then you actually go and film it and it comes to life. It's going to be different depending on the project. What was it like for this project specifically, that script to screen journey for you?
Sometimes with a movie, you read it and you know exactly like what you're going to be asked to do. And sometimes I get asked to do things that are, really easy to access and like close to me. And she felt very far from me when I read the script, but I immediately knew who she was. And that kind of specificity, I think, as an actor is rare. A lot of times people write kind of in, platitudes, or, they write a character and it doesn't feel like a real person. But Sarah did feel so much like a person living in the world to me. And the thing that I found really exciting and gratifying, and one of the things I love about indie film, is that the filmmakers tend to come in with their ideas, but also with a very open-minded sort of sensibility about what you bring to the table. Like in this kind of film, I know that I'm not being cast just because of dollar signs. I'm being cast because Brendan and Edie and Jim think that I'm the right person to play Sarah. And there's a lovely confidence that comes with that.
Yeah, no, that's so well said. Absolutely. And it's interesting is, Charlie, my question for you is, I love, especially in this film, I'm a big fan because I'm a filmmaker as well. I love the exploration of people, right? And, the self-reflection and the coming of age slice of life. It has everything in this film. And I'm just curious, Charlie, from an acting storyteller perspective, your character, but a lot of characters in this movie are lost, right? Trying to figure things out, self-reflection. So from an acting perspective, I'm curious, is it more challenging? Is it more fun to play characters that are lost? Because I feel like it's interesting from a viewer perspective, you're watching them, they don't know they're lost, right? So I'm just wondering how you kind of prepare for that. I'm curious about that.
Well, yeah, I don't think. I think maybe Mark. I think my character in this movie would probably admit he's a little bit lost,
Yeah.
at least, especially towards the end of the movie. But the character jumped off the page and like is I know a lot of people who are in similar situations. Like, it's hard to know what you want to do with your life at that age, and to know who you are. And I think with this, it was really just about, trying to sell that was really just about my relationship with Edie, with Wanda, and sort of thinking about how maybe their relationship was when Mark was a teenager too, and I think some of his attitude from when he's a teenager is still sort of there, and he hasn't quite grown up yet, but it's a little on its way out. And I just think he's lost, and he's sort of at a point where he's realizing that he's lost, and that he's the only one that can do something about it.
Yeah, 100%. No, I just find it very interesting. You're so like into it too, because you feel sometimes, especially, you mentioned like you and Edie, those conversations, right? You're very like I feel like I was really invested just in like the conversations between characters in this film, which was really awesome. And I think that's a credit to the writers as well. But Kayli, I just wanted to ask, because you did mention, it is an indie film, and especially with indie film, so much happens before you go to camera on a film like this, right? You're preparing everything, getting everything ready. So in a lot of ways, you could see it as two journeys, right? From a storytelling acting perspective, you could see it as before filming something and after filming something, or does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
I'm always very interested in that too. I have some movies I want to make myself. And so I think I always walk onto a set wanting to learn something that I didn't know previously. And sometimes in a big budget movie, there's not really time for that. Like you've got the time that you've got, you have to do what is being asked of you. On a movie like this, I felt able to ask about the journey through production, yes, because I got this offer initially during the pandemic.
Yep.
And then it took a while to film it. But because I was there from that point, I felt very invested in the production of the movie and how it was going about. And I had a lot of questions. And then luckily I had people who wanted to teach me. So I'm always very keyed into how production is forming, how to get an indie movie made. You know, it's so tough to do that whenever anybody is able to do it, I want to figure out how and why.
No, absolutely. Charlie, it's all storytelling at the end of the day. And, you know, what I really love about your incredible body of work is, you know, different like genres of shows and movies you've been in, but you've played like really different characters. And I think that's just a credit to you. So I just want to say that. I think you're an amazing actor. Do you bring things like, how separate are past projects compared to something like this? Like, do you bring things from Super Dark Times, Ozark to a movie like this, or are they completely separate? Like once you wrap preparation wise, mindset wise, I'm curious about that.
No, I think certainly sometimes maybe when because I lack of imagination and I don't know what else to do, so I refer to old tricks. But no, not on this. I don't think I brought anything from anything else. I just sort of tried to relate to the character as much as possible, which I felt I had like a little leg in, because it reminds me of, you know, Edie's character reminds me of my mother, and I'm very familiar with families like this, just of like where I grew up, and that's really what it was about to me. But yeah, it's a very good question. So like, yes, to a certain degree, sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm telling you, man, what happened to Wyatt and Darlene, I still think about that like all the time. Because that's been like years ago, right? From now, if you think about that. Yeah. It's still like, I still think about that, man. That was one of the most shocking things on television. I just can't even imagine reading that in the script for the first time. I'm gonna throw this out to both of you, and you can kind of go back and forth. But like I said, I was very kind of interested in all the characters in this, because an incredible ensemble cast. You both got to work with amazing people. That cast also got to work with you, because you both are really amazing in this. Are you ever conscious of the audience member, like watching? I mean, I know you try not to, but like, do you ever think about the audience, like while you're making something like this, because it is so relatable, and it might be relatable to the actors or the writers or producers, or is that something you think about a little bit more after you wrap? Like, I know you try not to, but sometimes it kind of seeps in, I feel like.
I think about it when reading the script initially, for sure. Like, I definitely think about how it might be reaching people in their own lives. Like, I think not as much on set, because I want to be present for Edie Falco's gorgeous face to do what it's doing. But mostly when I read a script, like, I am thinking about it not just as an actor, I'm also thinking about it as a writer, and I'm thinking about it as an audience member, and what I know about story and what works. Because, like, you know, everything's been made, right? Like, we've made everything, and now we're just hoping to make a story that resonates with someone. We're not trying to make something brand new that's never been seen before, because that's a foregone conclusion. So it's really all about trying to make sure it lands with somebody in the audience.
Yeah, Charlie, what about you? I mean, I
think to a certain extent, I think about that when reading the script. While being on set, I think I'm on the same page as Kayli, like trying to be present, and like on something like this, where like there was a fair amount of improv that was allowed. Like, it was more about trying to make the crew and the rest of the cast laugh.
Yeah.
I then, after I'm done for the day, then I'll worry about how my performance will be received by an audience to an unhealthy degree. But
it's tough, because it really is out of your hands afterwards, though. It's
totally out of your hands. It's kind of gotta like forget about it.
And you could play something a million different ways. I think that's the thing that always gets me too, is like, there's no one right way. So sometimes you leave set and then you're like, oh, but that thing could have been cool. And
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Well, what is it too? It's the three. It's the movie you write, the movie you film, and the movie you edit, right?
yeah.
And if
yeah.
two of those are the same, it's pretty good. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. I can't wait for people to check out I'll Be Right There. Great film. There's a lot happening here, so people can be able to check that out in September. Kayli and Charlie, so great chatting with you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.